Um, Hi everyone. Sailor Moon here, Serena here, and Sailor Mars here, Sailor Red World here, Ray here, and today we're going to talk about why we fight, or why we fought, or riled, you know. Now, as you know, in Sailor Moon, and I guess this plays off more into the 9 between 90 drawing show than it did from the books, you know, or the 24 between FYL drawing shows, which included Hearst 1, 2, and 3, and Forever and Stars. Now, we would always fight all the time, and it seemed to be, I don't know, a trope with us. We would always fight, and it would always end with, tongues, with our tongues sticking out or something. And a lot of folks would say, oh, well, Serena and Ray don't rile or fight, in the books, in the funny books, where did this all come from? Yes, Toei took a lot of freedoms and took freedoms with, with folks and kinship and, things like that and how they behaved and what they did and what they said. So, yeah, the books and the drawing show don't really match very well when it comes to that. Because when I first met Ray, or Sailor Mars, or Sailor Red World at the Cherry Hills Temple, or Red Hills Shrine, or Holy House, or Worship House, it was, she didn't like me. Because I was a ditz and a klutz and a saw baby, three things that she didn't think that she didn't like me being, and thought that why I wasn't a good enough leader, and that's my guess to why we both fought, but I truly don't know. Well, Serena, Sailor Moon, yeah, most of it was because when I first met you, way back in between 92 YL, the Deep World, not the Toei World, not the Viz World. Yeah, you were a ditz and a klutz and a saw baby, and I at the beginning thought that you weren't a good enough leader, so that was the grounds to why most of all that riling or fighting happened. And then sometimes I thought you wouldn't take something earnest, or you weren't being earnest enough. Or you do something or say something that I thought that was irksome or something. And that's where the fighting came from. And yes, we would still fight every once in a while. A lot of folks thought that by Sailor Moon R, the fighting wasn't there as much. But there was some fighting. And Sailor Moon S, there was some. And Sailor Moon SS, there was some. And Sailor Moon Sailor Stars, there was some. Maybe not as much as it was at Sailor Moon, C, or Sailor Moon Old, or whatever you want to call it. And yes, I'm quite aware that in the funny books and in the PGSM live Farseer show, and the plays and the song plays and things like that we don't fight at all, or don't fight about the same things. Yeah, well, I guess you're right about that, Ray, Sailor Mars, Sailor Red World. That was most likely most of what the fighting or riling was about. Because you, back in the day, thought that me being a ditz and a klutz and a saw baby, and you thought I wasn't a good enough leader. And then sometimes I'd say or do something that you would seek it was irksome, And yes, it would always end with us sticking our tongues out at each other, a lot. Not all of these fights would end with us sticking our tongue out at each other, but a lot of them would. And I know that there might need to be someone out there who's going to be bold, you know, and when it comes to ownership and double right, and it's going to have a whole films of us sticking our tongues at each other or riling or fighting with each other. Well, it's not going to be us because we don't have the means to film any of that. And even if we did, we still wouldn't do it due to ownership and double right. So, yeah, that's most likely why we fought all the time. And even if we didn't fight or rile in the funny books or in the plays or the song plays or the song shows or whatever, and even if we didn't fight that much in the live Farseer show, PGSM, doesn't mean that it wasn't something there. And yes, a lot of folks did not like, how didn't like Sailor Mars or Sailor Red World or Ray's take in the drawing show. A lot of them thought that the way she was handled was the wrong way. Yeah, there are some. You're right, Sailor Moon. You're right, Serena. There are some in the Sailor Moon followership who feel that the way that Toei handled me in the 9 Between 90 drawing show, from 9 Between 92 YL to 9 Between 95 YL, thought that the way I was handled was all wrong. That I should have been more like how I was in the funny books. Or how I should have been more like in PGSM, the Life Farseer show, or in the plays, or, the song plays or whatever. And I wasn't handled that way. Or some folks thought I should have been handled the way I was in the 24 between the 20's, drawing show, which ran from 24 between FYL to 2023 YL. So anyway, at the end of the day, the ways that I was handled, or why I fought with Serena, rod with Serena all the time, is because I thought that she was, because she would say or do something that was irksome, and I didn't like her being a ditz and a klutz and a saw baby, and, that it would irk me or make me angry. And I mostly also did it. And my other forgiveness is that Darian used to, pick on Serena or bully Serena a long time ago. And it happened and, was offshooted into most, that way. And I'm sorry for all that. Sorry for all the fighting, all the riles, all the slights, Sorry for all of it. Now I'm going to end this film now. We want to give this film a like, share, playlist it, because that's what you can do that to every upload, every live stream, and every short. Following is something you can only do once. And we'll see you later.